Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing well. Now today's video is about really getting to grips with those of you who struggle with anxiety around the greens. Nervous, whisper it, we can call it the yips. I know Howard behind the camera struggles with it, so Howard's listening very carefully to this one. But we're really going to focus on what causes it, and I've taught thousands of golfers over the years, and I've been quite successful in helping people get over this this mental disorder, because it is mental. And I'll go through some of the tips I can go through, which hopefully will help you, because I know how serious it is. I know it's not a laughing matter at all. You know, you can play great golf tee to green. If you struggle with anxiety, I'll call it anxiety rather than the yips. If you struggle with anxiety, it really makes your enjoyment of the game really difficult, and it's sad, because the game of golf is such a great game. You should be able to enjoy it and go out there and not fear certain shots around the green and use your putter from 50 yards, whatever you might be doing at the moment. So let's just explain what it is first. I mean, for me, it's just a total mistrust of the ground. Whether you know it or not, you are fearful of what might happen when your club gets near the ball and there is an involuntary movement. You can't control that. It's subconscious, you don't know it's happening, and it usually involves the right hand, for a right-handed golfer, firing and the knees working too much. So something like this, the golfer can be set up usually poorly, which I'll come to in a minute, and then they're coming into the ball quite nicely, often with the body moving down, and then what happens is last minute the hands go like that, and suddenly the ball can just go anywhere. And I've seen people miss the ball, I've seen people scull it over the other side of the green and hit it just a foot in front of you. I'm sure some of you have done that as well. Now, the first thing to do if you are struggling with it is, like I've got here in my hand, a 60. Do not go near a 60-degree wedge if you've got a little bit of a problem. Much better using a bit less loft to begin with, something like a 52 or a pitching wedge, and obviously for the right shot, with the right pin position, 7 or 8 iron, but less loft. I've got a pitching wedge here. Now, I do believe, although I've said it's a mental disorder, it is neurological without doubt. Usually people who've had the yips have been okay at some point in time, and what's happened is their technique has slipped and slipped and slipped until it's got sort of outside the corridor of where you can get away with it, and then the club starts having a problem with the turf. Then the brain starts fearing the turf, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. So I am a big believer, if you're technically good, you can be mentally good. So it is important you give yourself that 10 out of 10 world-class setup. And I don't think I've ever taught somebody who's come to me with the yips who has a 10 out of 10 setup. So just to go through a couple of bits, this is for the basic chip and run. And by the way, if you have got this anxiety, I wouldn't try too much about trying to hit different releases. Just focus on getting a good contact with what I call a release 1 basic chip and run shot. So just to go through some basics here: 1 golf ball between the heels, 1 club head between the middle of the feet, 2 club heads there between your toes. Open that left foot out and really make sure that your left shoulder is over your left foot, so you've got that really strong pivot line. Most yippers I see tend to get way too much on the right hand side with too much shoulder tilt, and then the club's just going to hit the ground really early, and then we start to worry about it too much. So it does begin by just getting this nice setup here at address, and I would advise the handle to get a little bit higher than you normally would have it. So a lot of the players with anxiety tend to get their hands pretty low down here. Look how easy my wrist can work. I would come in nice and close if I wanted to quiet my wrist down, and get this angle pretty much as flat as you can, and really work on getting connection between the triceps, this muscle here, the elbows and the rib cage, because essentially what we've got to try and do here is calm the knees down and make sure the big, slower muscles are hitting the shot instead of the quick, fiery ones, the knees and the hands, which are happening at the moment. So we get the stance right, we get the weight, and we push the feet down in the ground. We stand a bit closer, and we make sure the elbows are really touching the rib cage, so they're resting. You want to almost feel like they are totally connected. Great drill to sort of just feel that initially, actually, is no club in your hand at all. Put your thumbs together, get your hands back as far as they go like this. Get your elbows up here, so your hands are sort of in the middle of your chest there. Get into that setup I just showed you, and just make sure the connection is there the whole time, and just move back and through. And you'll see how my hands are doing absolutely nothing. It is just my big muscles, my rotation, and the hand path just takes care of itself. So that's the feeling you want to get back into if you're struggling with this issue. So we get set up there, we feel a connection, and very important, how you ignite the swing. So ignite means how do you start the swing. Most players who get anxious start the swing very quickly and usually with the hands. You want to start it with the back of the left shoulder. This is a slow part of our body, so let's use slow muscles. With this connection here with the elbows, we just move that shoulder away and then we open the chest up. So we make sure we just move it away and we open up. A rough guide on the swing plane, the club head wants to stay outside the hands. A lot of anxiety comes from the club getting way inside, which then makes you hit really early. So you want to feel like there's a slight turn or like rotation, but the club head is outside your hands. That's important, so make sure you check that. And a good drill for that, by the way, if you're holding your left hand only and just push the club away, you'll feel like the weight of the club is supported under the arm. And that's a nice exercise if you are a bit of a roller, to feel the correct backswing. So assuming you're on plane, assuming your weight is staying forward through that left foot, you've now got a great chance to hit the shot. Now, you are still going to be plagued with this anxiety and this fear, because you might have had this problem for years, and coming into the ball there's still that nervousness. But you've got to work super hard and stay super disciplined on keeping this connection point, and really make some practice swings where you're just keeping that backswing as I just showed you, but just absolutely making sure the chest is the governor, the chest is the engine, and these arms and these elbows are staying into me the whole time. You want to feel like you maintain this slight flex of this right arm rather than it driving, okay? And just make some little shots. And to begin with, people who are anxious, by the way, are really tend to get more obsessed about the outcome and worry about what might happen, like how close it might go, or do you feel like there's got pressure and people are watching and all this sort of thing. And you initially just find a quiet spot to practice on your own with no pins. Like, a pin isn't useful for you here because it gets you into outcome basis. You've got to be processed. So just play to the green, like just land it on the green. Don't put a target there. So you're setting up there, all connected, and just go back and just open up. And you can see how my elbows are just totally glued on, literally. Feel like you put glue down here, and stick them on with that weight left. Left shoulder goes back, chest moves through, back and open. And we just brush the turf, and you can see how when the big muscles work the shot, it's very difficult to get quick. But you've really got to work hard on that connection. You could get your sleeves and tuck your sleeves in a bit. This is a nice drill you could do. You can put a towel under and just work on little shots. If I can keep my sleeves tucked in, I'm not losing these knees and I'm not throwing it too hard this way. So, that's important as well. And the sense of sound is really, really important. It's something I've had a lot of success with coaching players. The sense of sound, and then trying to use that sound when you play the shot. Now, generally, a person with anxiety, when they hit it, they tend to either dump the club in the ground or get the ball first and it goes off like a missile. So if you can practice the brushing of the club on the ground and hear that noise. So if I just get my setup and I get that noise and get the brush, you hear that lovely noise? So you get 3 really good noises. You then step in, and all you're trying to do, this is part of your practice, all you're trying to do now is get that noise again. That is your only goal. Your only goal now is to get that noise. And if you get that noise, you'll get the shot. And I think that's a really nice way of, once you've done a bit of technical work on the plane and the rotation, just moving it a little bit more to an external focus, like the sense of sound, and just trying to replicate a sound to then give you a better strike and lose that anxiety a little bit. So that's a really nice way of training that in. So once you start getting some basics in there about the big muscles and the noise and the setup, it's then obviously, you're going to go on the golf course and then suddenly you've got that one shot, and then it can come back, can't it? Now, you have the internal focus about all the things you've got to try and do, and you've got the external focus about what you want your ball to do. And I also think the more you can paint the picture of the shot you want to hit, where you want to land it, at what ball flight, how the ball is breaking to the hole, and maybe even try and see the ball go into the hole, the more you can get yourself into that mindset and less ball bound, the better you're going to get as well. Because, and I've played with golfers who have this problem, and when I play with them, generally they're sort of down like this. They're at the ball. By the way, as well, I see this. You see this sort of quick sort of waggle. That would be terrible as well, because there you're just training fast muscles. Just let the club settle. Be calm, okay? If you're going to have a waggle, use your shoulder to have it, okay? But when you're over the ball, just make sure you are not down forever, because I see players down really ball bound like this, and the longer you're down like this, almost like the club can't get away. So I think training the routine and training how you use your eyes is really important. And a really nice saying I want you to remember is, I want you to glare at your landing spot, glance at the pin, glance back at the ball, and then play to that picture of the landing spot you got in your mind. Okay, so you're really trying to hold the landing spot picture in your mind. So we settle into the ball, glare at the landing spot, glance at the pin, glare at the landing spot again, back to the ball, settle, breathe, and play the shot. And I think just not allowing yourself to dwell too long over the ball is also really going to help you mentally. You've had your practice swings, you've really got a clear picture of your landing spot, which you've sucked from the landing spot into your mind. That's in your mind over the ball. It's important to settle for 1 second, breathe, and then really work on that connection, and that will really start helping you there. The other thing as well, when you're practicing, don't be afraid of using a T-peg, because when you put a T-peg in the ground, obviously we take the ground out of play. And this can be a really nice exercise just to go and get some confidence in the technique, and it might be a nice place to start for some of you, where you're just working on that shoulder and that chest, and you're just clipping off the T-peg. Try just to clip the peg, not to disturb it too much. And just clip it. That was lovely, that one, just clipped it beautifully, just nudged it forward, you see. So I'd maybe do 10 like that, and then rake a ball over, pretend it's still on the peg, and get that nice strike again there. So there are some bits you can improve. It is a rewiring process. It's not going to be, it never is. If anyone has got the yips anxiety, it's never going to be one magic tip and suddenly you're cured, I'm afraid, because it is in here. But what happens is you'll start hitting some better shots from some of those thoughts I've given you in terms of the setup and using the bigger muscles. And you'll still hit some bad ones and lots of bad ones, because it's just where you've got the scar tissue, you've got that involuntary movement in there. But every time you hit a good shot and start to get those better strikes, you are a shot closer to getting your short game back and really starting to enjoy the game again, because your brain starts to say, maybe, just maybe, I can actually do this. And you start repeating. And then when you're on the golf course, make sure you follow that routine. Don't get ball bound. Think about your landing spot. Settle back on the ball, and then go. And even when you're playing, if you can think of a saying over, if you can maybe say 1, 2, or tick tock, this is also really good as well. So don't go 1, 2. So if you've got the yips, you tend to go 1, 2. All right. Now, you've got to feel like when you play this shot, particularly on the golf course, it's like 1, 2. It's that middle beat you need. All right. It's tick tock. So it's tick tock, not tick tock. And just saying that on the golf course as well, in terms of trying to take it to the actual shot that matters, that might be easy for you as well if you put your mind into a 1, 2. And all these things are worth trying and improve your mind and improve your technique, because it's a killer when you've got this issue. So listen, hopefully that makes sense to you. You can go and work on something, and honestly, I've caught so many people out of it who are now got free flowing short games, and it's become a strength of their game. So you put some of these concepts in place, I'm sure it'll make a difference. There's much more we can do, perhaps a skillist lesson. I do skillist lessons where you can send your videos in. I'll put a link below on that, and I can really see what you're doing. So maybe follow the steps in this video, but follow it up with a skillist lesson. That might be a good idea, so I can really bespoke it to you. But I think a lot of the points there really will help, and help you get your short game back to exactly where you want to be, so you can enjoy your golf. All right, so speak to you soon. All the best.